Small demonstrations by Yellow Vest protesters have been seen throughout France for a sixth consecutive Saturday, but not on the scale of the ones seen in recent weeks. About 800 people were demonstrating in Paris at around noon, 11 o'clock GMT, compared to about 4,000 demonstrators at the same time last Saturday. Some 65 people have been arrested in the capital so far, reports say. A man died in southern France, bringing the total death toll to 10. The man's car hit a truck at a roadblock near Perpignan overnight on Friday, the authorities said on Saturday. In Paris, traffic was normal and most shops, except for some luxury boutiques, were open for business in the run-up to Christmas. There had been no incidences of violence or deaths, police said. The Palace of Versailles outside Paris and its gardens were closed as the authorities prepared for possible unrest there. Instead, protesters gathered in the Montmartre area of northern Paris. A small-scale demonstration. There were other small-scale protests in the rest of the country, with hundreds of yellow vests briefly blocking trucks near the French-Spanish border, being dispersed by police. Roadblocks were also reported in northern France, near the border with Belgium. Further demonstrations were planned around the country, though the movement seems to be losing impetus in the run-up to Christmas. France's Interior Ministry said only 680 yellow vests had been counted on Thursday, on the many traffic filtering points that have been appearing throughout the country since the beginning of the protests. Their lowest number so far. The Gilets Jaunes, Yellow Vest protesters named after the high-visibility jackets French motorists must carry in their cars began in mid-November against fuel tax increases and later widened to include the liberal economic reform policies of French President Emmanuel Macron. They were initially protesting against a rise in duties on diesel, which is widely used by French motorists, and has long been less heavily taxed than other types of fuel. Mr. Macron had said higher taxes on fossil fuels were needed to fund renewable energy investments. But protests have also erupted over other issues, including calls for higher wages, lower taxes, better pensions, and easier university entry requirements. Mr. Macron responded by scrapping an unpopular fuel tax rise and promising an extra $140 a month on minimum wage earners and tax cuts for pensioners. On Friday evening, the French Senate approved the measures, which should come into force early next year. Two Scandinavian women tourists have been found dead in Morocco, with cuts to their necks, the country's Interior Ministry said. Both bodies were found near the town of Imleo in the High Atlas mountain range, near the foot of North Africa's highest peak, Mount Tepco. The women, from Denmark and Norway respectively, have not yet been named. A police investigation has been launched into their deaths, the Interior Ministry statement said. The United States military says it has killed 62 fighters from the Islamist group Al-Shabaab in 6 airstrikes in Somalia. 4 airstrikes on Saturday killed 32 militants, and a further 2 on Sunday killed 28, it said in a statement. These were the deadliest air attacks in Somalia since November 2017, when the United States said it had killed 100 militants. Somalia has seen a sharp increase in the number of airstrikes and casualties since President Donald Trump took office in the United States in January 2017. A tally by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism reveals that at least 400 people have been killed in airstrikes since the beginning of 2017. far more than the previous 10 years combined. The latest strikes bring to at least 40 the number carried out in Somalia so far this year, compared with 35 recorded in 2017. The United States has a huge military base in neighboring Djibouti, from where it launches attacks on the militants. Mr. Trump gave the United States military greater authority in March 2017 to attack militants in Somalia. Traditionally, United States presidents have been wary of intervening in Somalia since ATM Special Forces soldiers died fighting militias in the capital Mogadishu in 1993, a battle dramatized in the film Black Hawk Down. No civilians were killed in the latest airstrikes, which were carried out in coordination with the Somali government, the United States military said. Alongside our Somali and international partners, we are committed to preventing Al-Shabaab from taking advantage of safe havens from which they can build capacity and attack the people of Somalia, the United States Africa Command said. Al-Shabaab, which is linked to Al-Qaeda, has not yet commented on the latest strikes. Somalia-based security think tank the Higher Institute said in a report published in November that Al-Shabaab had been forced to change tactics following the upsurge in airstrikes. The institute said the group was now conducting fewer mass attacks on military bases, but attacks on government offices and businesses which refused to pay its taxes had increased markedly. The United States State Department, in its most recent report on terrorism, described Somalia as a terrorist safe haven and said Al-Shabaab remained a threat. Despite suffering setbacks, the group retained control over large parts of the country and the ability to carry out high-profile attacks using suicide bombers, explosive devices, mortars, and small arms. The report added, a poacher has been ordered to watch the Disney film Bambi repeatedly after he was convicted of illegally killing hundreds of deer. Missouri hunter David Barry, Jr., must view the film at least once a month during his year-long sentence. He was arrested in August along with 2 family members for killing the deer, taking their heads and leaving their bodies to rot. Prosecutors said it is reportedly one of the biggest poaching cases in Missouri history. On top of the jail sentence for the illegal deer hunting, Judge Robert George ordered Barry Jr. to view the Walt Disney movie Bambi, with the first viewing being on or before December 23,
2018,
and at least one such viewing each month thereafter. During his spell in prison, the 1942 cartoon about woodland creatures shows a hunt to kill the mother of eponymous deer character Bambi. A months-long investigation, spanning several states, led to the arrest of Barry Jr., his father David Barry, Sr., and his brother Kyle Barry, according to a local newspaper, the Springfield News Leader. While the total number of deer taken illegally is unknown, Lawrence County's conservation agent Tandy Barnes said it could be several hundred. Barry Jr. received a year-long sentence in Lawrence County Prison after pleading guilty to illegally taking wildlife. He has also been sentenced to a 120-day term in Barton County Prison for a firearms probation violation, and both he and his father had their hunting privileges revoked for life by the Missouri Conservation Commission. A popular tourist attraction has become the latest Chinese company to show solidarity with Huawei's chief finance officer, Meng Wanzhou, who was arrested in Canada on 1 December. Shannon Mountain Scenic Park, in eastern Hainan province said it would waive the $9.65 yuan ticket fee for anyone carrying a Huawei phone. Ms. Man, who was given bail in Canada faces extradition to the United States on charges of breaking Iran sanctions. Her case has upped tensions with China. Use Huawei phones. Shoot grand photos on the mountain. A notice on the Shannon Park's social media account said, "We wish friends around the world who support Huawei's success and bliss." The offer would last until 29 December, the South China Morning Post reported. But it was met with some criticism among China's social media users, who claimed it was discriminatory. Huawei phone owners are being offered other enticements too. They can get a 20% discount at a border in Beijing. Seen in Beijing, bring a Huawei phone and get 20% off. Similar to this story we covered yesterday, https://t://QQXL19YPQL pic. Twitter,